Flosstube friends! I am Lisa and this is my channel, Cross by Floss, where I talk about cross stitching and life blabbings. And today is a Stitch With Me video. So if you are a returning subscriber and know about the Stitch With Me, get yourself ready and we'll get into it in just a few. And if you are a new viewer and subscriber, thank you. And Stitch With Me's are just that. Come and stitch with me while I blab and get started on a new project. And you can, do whatever craft you feel like. So it's just a nice way to get together and have a little visit. So grab your craft, grab your drink. Today I'm drinking coffee yet again, and we'll get to stitching. So on my Stitch With Me's, I do a new start, or I decided that I was going to do a new start. And because I have a lot of kitted projects, I have a lot of projects, period. And I just want to put some love into my projects. So today I'm going to be working on this Kathy Barrick sampler, and it's called 1848 Reproduction Sampler. And how cute is that with the two girls? Ooh, let's try and get that straight. So I am starting this today, brand new, and it is going on 18 count antique white Aida. I thought that this represented as close to what it looks like she used in the pattern. It was called for a 30 count, oh, you guys are seeing pattern, sorry, a 30 count dye pot blend from R&R Reproductions. And it was charted in needlepoint silk. But there's a DMC conversion, so that's what I am using, the DMC conversion. I'm going to work on it over here. I find it easiest to do the Stitch With Me's, and because I blab, and you all know, or if you're a returning subscriber, you know that I am a very slow stitcher. And so I typically find something that I can either do a large block of color or a border or whatever, and that's what I'm going to work on. And on my Q-snap, I have a Clay by Kim needle minder in this super cute dragon. I've been very lucky in being able to get several Clay by Kim needle minders. They go fast when she puts them up, and if you are ever wanting one, you got to be fast. But it's a lovely way to put your needle on your fabric, so it's out of the way. I get questions sometimes about what I use to hold my fabric. I like to work in hand on my projects if they're small enough and the fabric is pliable enough. This is a super stiff Aida. It's just from Joann's, I think it's Joann's brand, possibly. And so it is super stiff. So I've put it in. This is a R&R craft frame. I purchased this on Amazon quite a while ago. It came from the UK, I believe. Please don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. But I really like this frame, and I use it for quite a few of my bigger projects. And then, like I said, anything that's got like a kind of a stiffer Aida that I'm working on. Now, I could have tea dyed this one, and I considered it. I considered dunking it in some tea dye and letting it dry, and then, it gets more pliable when it's wet, and it's not as stiff. But I'm gonna be lazy, and I may tea dye this after I finish it. I don't know how I feel about that, just to give it more of an aged look. But I'm working on antique white, so I think I'm gonna be okay. I'm sorry, you're gonna hear, oh, there's Mr. Odin over there. He is snoring. I'm sorry. It's better than him barking though, but he's hanging out, so you'll get to see Odin. And yeah, so let's get to stitching. So I've already counted out. This pattern is 88 by 80, so it's not huge. I do a loop start on my projects, so because I use 2 strands, but I use 1 strand in half, and so I do a loop start. And let's see here. I need to pull this up a little bit for myself. Seriously, this Aida is so stiff, and I am working with a, oh my goodness. Okay, I can see the holes. I'm working with a 26 size needle. Is that what I'm working with? Yes, the Bowen 26 size needle, tapestry needle. I personally like the petites, but this was all I could find super quickly because that's me. So, oh no. I tell you, he barks at anything. There was nothing there. A bag fell down. Oh, goodness sakes. Life of Odin. But yes, so as I think I was saying, I like working with the Bowen Petite tapestry needles in a 26, but this was all I could find. So this is what I'm going to work with. So yeah, so I'm going to do the border. It is, like I said, I am doing DMC colors and, or the DMC colors. And this is called, it threw me off because it's called Elephant Gray, but it's brown. And it's number, let's see here. I don't remember what number is it. Got it on the floss rings, 3781. But I guess in NPI silk, it's called Elephant Gray. So, and this is, I guess, the closest match. So that's what we got. Okay, so how about some life blabbings? I got sick this week. Nothing major, but just, you know, I think, well, the snow is all gone here in the Pacific Northwest, or at least in my area of the Pacific Northwest. Mr. G left on Friday morning, and he was, where did he go? He had to go do a pickup at one of the depots in Washington. I don't remember, but he said that there was still lots of snow over there. So, but here in my area, the snow is completely gone. And in fact, you would never have known that it snowed other than the ground is very wet. So, and for those who have animals, especially dogs, and, you know, mine goes out and in several times a day, and he has to be wiped down because my backyard is just, oops, that one did not go through the hole nicely. My backyard is not finished. It's been in process, in some sort of progress of finishing for the last, I can't even tell you how many years. I guess I approach everything in the same manner. I have a plan, but it doesn't actually always get there. I'm going to turn you guys just a touch. Let's see if that helps. There we go. Yeah, so it's been quite wet and muddy and yucky out there, and so the 2 dogs have to get wiped down each and every time they come inside. And for some reason, Odin seems to forget that he needs to stand there and get wiped off each and every time. He's such a funny boy. But anyways, yes, our snow is all gone. And so it is just we're back to normal. You would never know that anything happened here. And I tell you what, those poor people in Texas, wow, some of the video that I've seen of the busted or the burst water pipes, and I mean, holy, I'm seriously praying for you guys because, uh-oh, what happened here? I have a knot. Okay, pause please while I fix that little knot. Okay, fixed. a little doctoring back there needed to happen. But yes, so holy, what has been happening in Texas, and kind of odd story. Not odd, but we've been talking about moving and, looking for a place to go, and I just kind of want out of the Washington state. It's expensive to live here. It rains 13 months out of the year is my joke, and it doesn't really, but sometimes it definitely feels like it. And Texas is one of the places that we are considering, and Arizona is another. And boy, oh boy, with the weather, the crazy weather those poor Texans have been having, I'm not sure if that's that's where I want to go. I don't know. But definitely we need to take some road trips and go and, see what the areas are like and all of that. So it won't be happening anytime soon, but it is on my radar for the next while, but having a hard time, with leaving my kids too. So I don't know. But we do know that we can't stay here with the expense, and with Mr. G's job, he can go anywhere and work from any state, which is lovely. And so yeah, but anyways, back to, yes, I got sick last week, and I think it's just because of the change in weather and all the things that typically happen. And so yeah, I was not feeling super great last week, and or actually last week. And but coming out of it, and at least my throat isn't killing me anymore, and all those things. The headache still there, still stuffy, and but it's much better than it was. All right, so today I thought I would talk about, of course, we're all still going through COVID, and all of the precautions that we're taking, and all of that. But what I thought I would talk about is schooling, and some of the good things that have come out of COVID, as well as obviously there's some not so good things. But I really think that maybe for my family, for sure, COVID made us really slow down. Really, we're a fairly active family, I would say. We do a lot in short periods of time. And, we seem to always be on the go. I'm not one to just sit around and not do a whole lot. Mr. G is very different. He has definitely made me slow down a little bit more. He likes to take things easy. I walk fast, talk fast, drive fast. He drives fast too. So, but he doesn't talk fast. He doesn't walk fast. He's never in a hurry, like a true hurry for anything. He has deadlines for work and that kind of thing. They have to have their drops done on certain times, and he definitely has time management skill that way. You know, like when he's got to get somewhere from point A to point B, he's going to make sure that he gets that done. But you know, when we go shopping or anything, he's not in a hurry. He's not like get in, get out kind of person, and I'm like, okay, because I got to get on to the next thing and whatever. But I will say that not only has he kind of slowed me down a little, but also COVID had really slowed, you know, for our family, you know, like I said, we're a fairly active family. And so, you know, the little was in activities, and I was always busy doing this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, I'm kind of I guess, weird, I'm not sure how to kind of phrase it, but I like to be a homebody, but I also like to be social active, or actively social. And so it just really depends on my mood and what's going on in life, and you know, kind of what's going on health-wise and all of those kinds of things. And I definitely have periods that I I mean, I know I talked about it very, very briefly in one of my videos, and having depression and anxiety. And when that happens, I don't do anything for quite some time. So, and that's my homebody, you know, life. Odin. That's my homebody life, and you know, we just don't do anything, and other than the things that have to be done. And you know, maybe one day I will talk about kind of the struggles that I've gone through and my family has gone through because of it. But that's not for today. But for COVID, for us as a family, it really made us kind of appreciate and really slow down. You know, we weren't in a hurry to get from one activity to another. And as a family unit, we were always close, but we've become closer. And while, you know, during COVID, I've had 2 children move out, and that's been quite an experience. But, you know, we still, as a family unit, have been very, very close. And it's just made us closer, you know, that we snuggle on the couch longer, and, you know, we slow down to watch movies and not doing 17 other things in that movie. You know, I'm a huge multitasker, and never really slow down to enjoy just one thing. I'm doing several things at once. And that has also made us, you know, kind of slow down. Now, one of the things that has been that has affected us greatly is schooling. Oh my, and the remote learning. So with my granddaughter, many of you know that I mentioned this a couple of times, but when my daughter moved, and they moved into a different school district, and well, actually all the school districts, it wouldn't have mattered if she stayed here or not, but all the school districts went to remote learning. And but we went into a new school district with different different learning challenges, and you know, new teachers, kids we've never met, and so that was a bit of a challenge. and, you know, a new grade, starting a new grade, just all of the things. And there is a joke in my family, and believe me, this is just a joke. You know, we get through life with humor. I have 4 children, and I joke many times that the thing that has kept them alive is that they have gone to school, that they are out of the house, you know, at least 6 hours a day, and that they go to school. And that's what's kept them alive, and that you know, they have become great, healthy adults. You know, now that's not to say I used to volunteer in their classrooms all the time. So seriously, you know, I didn't just stay at home and do other things. No, I volunteered in their classrooms. I got on the PTA. I got very involved in my kids' sports or extracurricular activities. And so, yes, it's just a joke. But I will tell you what, I never wanted to be a teacher. That was never something that I ever wanted to do. And I appreciate teachers each and every day. I have seen what they deal with in the classroom. When I have volunteered, I see, you know, what happens in their families, because quite a few teachers have become friends. You know, that it was never something that I ever looked at and said, "Ooh, I would love to be a teacher and raise children." No, thank you. And I am grateful each and every day for teachers. Well, this year during COVID, oh my goodness, we've become teachers. And that's been huge. And so because of that, you know, I work a full-time job, as does my daughter, as does her boyfriend. And we all realized that, you know, neither one of them would be able to go to part-time or simply not do their job and put it on hold until after, you know, COVID was over and the kids got back to school. That was not an option. And so I talked to my bosses, and they were great, and we agreed, you know, that I would put my hours down and work more in the evenings because of the way my job is, that I'm able to do that. And so that means that my granddaughter comes to my house every day for remote learning, and I became a teacher. So I tell you what, you guys, I have always had a great appreciation for teachers, but now I have even more of a greater appreciation for teachers after having to teach several subjects a day. And it has been a great learning curve for me, learning about science and math, especially the math. Holy good night, nurse, the math. There are days that sometimes I am not sure that I am smarter than a 4th grader. I tell you what, the math that they are doing is just incredible. And my daughter's boyfriend, Brendan, I'm just going to call him Brendan, he is a math major. You know, he's a geologist by trade, and he, you know, math is a thing for him. And I am routinely sending, you know, problems to him going, does this make sense? Does this sound like something that, you know, a 4th grader should be doing? And we have definitely found that most of the work that the fourth graders are doing right now are actually at a much higher level. Now, she's not in a high cap program or anything like that, but I've since found out that even though the kids are in fourth grade, they keep being tested at some higher level. I'm not entirely sure why, but the teacher keeps saying, you know, that this is, you know, 5th, 6th, 7th, and sometimes 8th grade work. And that these are questions that will be on a math test. Well, what really concerns me is that these, at least for sure, my granddaughter, and I do know that based on the questions that the kids ask in the teens class, that they're not getting it either. But the kids don't seem to have the fundamentals down of just like multiplication and division. And if they don't know their multiplication and division tables in, you know, not that it needs to be down pat or anything, but at least to have a good grasp on how to do that. But, you know, then they're throwing in exponents, and there's things that, I mean, I don't ever remember my children doing until they got to like, junior high, honestly. And though I do have to say I had to ask my son, because he also was in the highly capable program back in the day, and my oldest son, and I had to say to him, you know, I was trying to figure out this problem, and I said to him, do you remember doing this in fourth grade? And he kind of looked at it and he said, yeah, this was probably fourth grade work that I was doing. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, actually it doesn't count, because you were in the highly capable program and you guys were doing 8th grade math and then anyway, so whatever. But yeah, it's just like weird. Well, they're not weird, but I think that it's over a fourth grader's head for sure. And but like all of these story problems that they need to, you know, Jane has this amount of stickers out of a book that has this many of each type, blah blah blah. Her friends also have the same amount. You know, and how many do they have? I don't know. There's just, oh my gosh, the problems that they're asking. And, you know, my granddaughter doesn't know them, as do many of the kids in the class. And, you know, the teacher can't help them all, and she does her best. I mean, she does do her best. But, you know, there's a lot of different learning levels in the class, as there is everywhere. And, you know, it's hard to teach the kids remotely when you can't give individual attention, or a group of kids that you know is struggling versus another group of kids who is getting it. You know, these other kids who are maybe getting it are now not being instructed on anything because the teacher is trying to, you know, work with the kids that need the help, or the kids that need the help aren't saying that they need the help, and then the teacher's moving on. And so it has become up to us parents to work with the kids and try and help them, guide them into figuring out the problems. And I don't think that I've written so many reports, and that's not to say, so I was always the parent that I felt that my children going to school was, you know, their work, them going to school. And this goes back to us being so busy. So I I have kind of a wide range, not really a wide range, but I have I call them the first three kids, and then my last guy. So there's a 6 to 9 year gap between the youngest, oldest, to the youngest. So there's a 9 year gap from the oldest to the very youngest, and then of the first three, there's a 6 year gap from that last one to the baby. And so for the most part, the first three, I call them, they kind of grew up in a different, well, they're millennials, and my baby is not a millennial. So he's a Gen Z or whatever they're calling them. And so it's just a different generation, slight generation difference. And so when my first three were going to school, right at the end of where my daughter was, so she's the last of the first three, right where she was is where the kids started to get like kind of super busy. Like all of these after school projects or activities were happening, and it wasn't unusual to have her friends be in 2 activities right after school on a daily basis. They were running to dance and piano, or to soccer and piano, or to a STEM program and some other lesson. Like there was always something that people were going towards. Well, because I had the 4 kids and time and expenses, my children were only able to do one activity. And most of the time, the first 2 boys, who are 13 months apart, had the same activity. So if they were in karate, they did karate together, and so that was fairly easy. My daughter was in dance, and so that was easy. And I was always able to either drop the boys off at karate, get her down to dance, come back up, pick up the boys from karate, get back down, go get her from dance. So that was already enough running around, and then by the time that the youngest, Mitchell, was into some sort of sport, the older boys had decided that they were done with activities, and they were in high school and doing other things anyways. And so he was in baseball or basketball, and then we got into swimming, and that was his sport of choice for quite a long time. And so yeah, I just decided that the kids would pick an activity a year that they wanted to do, or for the season, and that's what we were able to do. And that made us busy enough. Well, by the time, and then there was still, like, you still had to do homework and have, friend groups and a life and all of the things that you want for your kids growing up. And so, yeah, life was busy enough. And so, I definitely saw this progression as my kids got older or got into grades, how, what parents did with their kids. And so with my first couple, the parents were mostly hands off. Like, the kids went to school, they did their thing, they got into their friend groups, they had spats, the parents would sort of intervene if it became a big thing. But for the most part, you talked to your children, you got them to sort things out on their own, and everything was good. Well, by the time that my daughter was going to school, and maybe it was just because it was girls, but the girls were so busy. Like, they were into so many things, and they had, all of these different friend groups, and they were into, most of the girls that my daughter hung out with all did the same things. They were all in the same dance studio, and you know, they all kind of, and they all hung out with each other and had parties together. And, you know, when they got to junior high, they all did drill together. And yeah, so it was, you know, they were a fairly close-knit group. And, but I found that the parents were helping excessively with the kids' projects or homework. And my kids would be frustrated because I would not do their homework well, I did it with them, but I didn't do it for them. So if they were stuck on a problem, you know, my approach was that you tried to figure it out on your own. And if you couldn't, you know, I would come and we'd talk about it and try and help get through it. But if it was still a roadblock, because the way that I learned how to do things versus the way my kids were learning how to do things was a little different. And especially with this new math, nobody understood the new math, not even the teachers. It was a very, the new math program was a very hard transition for many, many people. And when it came to our school district. And so my approach always was, okay, well, let's go on to the next problem, you know, and then if you have time, you come back to it. And if we don't, then you go to your teacher the next day and say, I don't understand this, you know, can you help me? And get some instruction. Well, I found that my kids' friends' parents were actually doing the homework for them. And my kids would say things like, well, so-and-so's mom helped them, you know, and did the problems for them. And I'd be like, okay, but here's the deal. You get into a test at school and you have no idea how to do it because I did it for you. And so you're going to fail it anyways. So, you know, kind of like learn it. And, you know, that's when I started really volunteering in my kids' classrooms also, so that I could see how to do some of the lessons and stuff, because, yeah, I was lost. I also came from Canada, and our math system is different than it is in the States. And so that also was a learning curve for me too. So volunteering in my kids' classrooms helped me, you know, learn how to teach my children, or help set them up, you know, to get the problems done. But then it came to projects. So like science fair was a big one, right? Oops, that one is not pretty either. Science fair was huge. Or like my boys were in Boy Scouts, and you know, the Pinewood, is it Pinewood Derby? It's been a long time since I've been in Scouts. But I mean, the parents were doing the projects for them, and not me, you know. I would buy you the supplies that were needed. I would, you know, give you all of the tools that you needed. I would type out, you know, I always typed out, the report that my kids did, but they had to write it. Like I would type it out for them because, you know, back then, their typing skills were not what they are now, certainly after being gamers. But, you know, so I would type out the report that they wrote themselves so that it looked nice on the project. But the project was theirs, you know. They did the pictures, they did the drawings, they did the experiments. I would purchase what they needed, help set it up, but I didn't do it for them. And it was very apparent in the science fair which kids had a lot of parental help. And I live in an area where there are a lot of Boeing employees and engineers and, you know, and the like. And so this is a great source for those parents, because that's, you know, what they're good at. But it was so hard when I would look at my kids' projects, and you could definitely tell they were made by children, versus the ones where, you know, the kids had a lot of parental input into their projects. And then that started discouraging my kids because, you know, they wouldn't be winning or getting mentions or anything in the science fair, or, you know, their Pinewood Derby. They would spend hours getting their car together. And but for me, that was it. That's life. Like, that's learning lessons of life. And then when my youngest child started going to school, oh my goodness. Okay, the amount of parental involvement in the kids' lives was, man, that was such a switch for me from having, you know, from my first child to the last child, and what a progression there was of parental involvement in the kids' lives. Like, I mean, the kids couldn't do anything on their own. You know, if there was a spat with the kids, man, the parents were right in there solving it for them, you know, getting everybody together, sitting down. And this was not something that, you know, I didn't grow up that way. You learn to fight your own battles. And it was also not how my oldest kids were, you know, had that as family, friends issues as well. So that was very different for me. And then, you know, came to the sports and the over involvement and pushing of parents. Man, it was crazy. That was that was hard for me, because not that I am a hands-off parent. I am very much a hands-on parent, but I tried to give my kids the tools to learn how to be independent and do those things for themselves. And I always wanted them to have their voice and to be respectful, have their voice, and learn how to deal with conflict. And yeah, because, you know, you can't always be there. And I think it's important to give the kids tools to get there. And so, I tell you what, there were many a swim meet that I went to, or even baseball with my son, that I just, you know, I was the parent there for a social hour. And the other parents were there to get their child to be the best and to, you know, get a scholarship when they got to high school and beyond. And the amount of pushing and parental coaching on the sidelines and all of that was, oh my gosh, it was such a different experience for me. And yeah. And so, you know, now today, getting into my granddaughter's school and the huge switch that we have had because of COVID, and now being that child's teacher. Okay, it has done a couple of things for me. Not only, again, really appreciating teachers, and I think sometimes we forget how intense a teacher's job can be, especially when it comes to contracts, you know, union contracts, and they go on strike, and then we're at home with our kids, and they're not going to school, and we get all ticked off and think, you know, teachers' jobs are easy. Yeah, I think many of us have realized that it is not easy. It is not easy trying to teach up these kids and the different varieties of learning styles kids have, and the subject matter even. Like, you know, I constantly am thinking to myself, when in the world is she ever going to need to use this? You know, why are we learning this? Because when is she ever going to need to pull this out? And I guess depending on her career in the future, she may, you know, need to pull out some of what she's learning now. But I tell you guys, I have spelled more spelling words in this last, how long have we been out of school? 6 months? 6 months now? 5 months, I guess. Yes, I have read more about spiders than I ever thought I wanted to know. I've learned some very cool things about sea life. I have been utterly frustrated with math and had to, you know, Google, ask the dot, and friends, you know, how to go about solving these things, figuring them out. I have celebrated when I've privately gotten the answer right while helping my granddaughter try to figure out the answer. And she comes up with something different, and, you know, it's, again, a learning lesson, and she figures out where she went wrong in her problem. And, you know, I also celebrate when I do the mental math in my head, you know, 9 times 9 minus this plus this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I celebrate that mental math in my head. And, you know, I've drawn more scientific quotations than oh, that's the other thing. They're learning the periodic table in 4th grade. I'm like, say what now? I mean, I wasn't good at it in high school, so relearning it as a 4th grader, yeah. And then, you know, then they get to go to in my granddaughter's school district, they have a STEM program that all of the kids are involved in once a week, which I think is phenomenal. And my granddaughter loves STEM. And so, you know, we don't have music, but we get art, and they have a library time, which, you know, it's so different, you guys, you know. So the librarian gets on and she reads the story like they would if they went to library in class and stuff. But, you know, you've got all of these kids who are on a computer and they're interrupting, and or they're fidgeting, or, oh, well, I guess they do all that in circle time too, right? So but you can't get up to pick your book, and you can't go wander, and, you know, all the things that you can do when you're in a library setting. And so that is also different. Art, you know, they get art. I don't think that art's once a week. They get PE a couple of times a week, and maybe they do get art once a week, or maybe it's once every 2 weeks. But even that is different, you know, because you go around your house and you find things that would be related to whatever art project that they're working on. And yeah, it's just so different. And I have definitely found that I am a lot more involved in that. And have definitely found out that sometimes I don't know that I would pass 4th grade, you guys, some days. Yeah. And I also used to say to my kids all the time, you know, I already graduated. Like I already went through, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever grade, you know, that they were at. And I said, this is your work. This is, you know, you need to graduate on your merit, not on somebody else's, you know. And man, it's difficult being a parent, you guys. And so they're talking about, you know, come beginning of March, they're talking about potentially going back to school here. And I know that, you know, private schools have gone back. Some Some of the charter schools may have gone back. But for the most part, some of the districts have gone back to a hybrid system. And it looks like my granddaughter's school district will be working that way come March because of the systems that are being put in place. But I truly wonder how difficult that is also going to be for families that are still, in a healthcare issue, or, how do you, it's just so difficult. How do you tell your boss, okay, well, on Monday, Tuesday mornings, my kid's going to school, but then Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoons, they're going to school, or they have to work from home, or, they're going to school 2 hours a day, or however they decide what the remote learning is going to look like, or the hybrid, because they're not putting all the kids in school at one time. And I think here they're looking at putting the preschool and kindergarten and first grade back in, and then they're going to start moving towards getting the other kids in. But yeah, I just don't know how that's going to look. And for us, it will make that much harder for me, because right now she comes here to go to, do remote learning. And then if I have to drive to her house to get her to school in the morning or the afternoon or whatever, it just, makes my work schedule just that much different. So yeah, we're all waiting, and I almost feel like it's almost worth it. I know parents probably are going to just really wonder about me, but I wonder if it's just worth it to just finish out this year in the remote learning that we've had, while it hasn't been fantastic. And I know that, that there are other kids that have been suffering because of it. But I just wonder if the disruption of the hybrid is going to be any better, and what that's going to look like. For really, we only have, if they are thinking about March, April, May, June, we have 3 more months of school. And, I just wonder how much disruption that's going to be doing more of a hybrid, because I just can't imagine that the kids are going to go from 0 to 60, being at home full time to, oh, now we're going to school full time. I don't believe that that's what's going to happen. And then not only that, but, the teachers union is saying that, they want to make sure that their teachers are safe, and that the conditions going back to school are going to be safe for everyone. So yeah, it's, it has not, like I said, there's been good things about it, and then there's been, some not great things about it. And, I will honestly tell you, if this happened when I had my first 4 kids, or the first 3, and then the extra, he knows he's the baby and the king of the family, so it's all good. Or not the king, but the little prince of the family. He knows it. He's well aware, and he utilizes it often. But if that happened when my kids were going to school, I would have lost my mind. It's much different being the grandparent of a child and doing this. Frustrating, yes. I definitely feel the generational gap sometimes. Yeah. But if I had 4 different kids in 4 different grades going through this and trying to help them, I mean, really, my hat's off to parents who are doing it. And, you know, I always used to look at parents who were homeschoolers and think, man, I couldn't do what you do. Like, I really legitimately could not do what you do. And I always thought, man, again, my children were safe because they went to school. Yeah. But then when my youngest got to a point, we actually did do homeschooling, but it was online schooling. So basically he was doing remote learning, but much smaller class sizes, a lot more individual help. And the schools were set up that way. Like the program that he went through was set up to be an online school with, you know, individual teacher help and work at your own pace. And, you know, a lot of the things that they did were online classes. So it was different than remote learning where you're in your classroom with your full class and one teacher, and you're not working at your own pace. You're working with the class pace. And so that worked really great for my youngest son. And yeah, it was a great model. And it's unfortunate that, you know, our school districts just weren't prepared to be remote learning and being able to accommodate all of the different learning styles of the kids on a daily a huge global basis that it was. So I think that there could have been a different way to approach this if there was some input from the online schools or even the homeschooling parents and stuff, if there had been some input from that on a better model of what happened this year. So I can see the frustration from parents. I can see the frustration from teachers because, again, I definitely feel that and generationally feel the difference. Yeah. Anyways, that's a lot of rambling about school and whatever. But what it boils down to, appreciate your teachers because they have a tough job. They have a tough job. And I think that maybe parents have realized that, you know, when the teachers go on strike for smaller class sizes and for, you know, less testing and less paperwork, like the paperwork the teachers have to do is incredible. You know, maybe having a little understanding of why that's so maybe our situation that we're in may have helped that. I hope anyways. But yep, it'll be an interesting finish to the year and to see what happens next year for sure. So, all right, you guys, I think that that's probably enough blabbing about school and whatever. I think for some future videos, you know, I have a lot of things that, you know, I certainly can talk about and everything, but I think I'm going to pull out some tags. I'm going to, you know, do some tags, or if you have questions that you want answered in videos, you know, please send those to me. I would love to answer videos. I know today I'm going to finish up this border. I am going to get on the computer and I am going to respond to all of the comments that I had on my last video. And I'm going to make a good stab at getting those done. And because I appreciate that you guys comment and that you like my videos and that you do, you know, I did notice that there were some questions in there that I'm going to go and answer. And yep, and I'm also going to finish a couple more coats on my shelves for that cute free cabinet that I got. And yeah, so, but yes, in future Stitch With Me videos, I think I'm going to do some tags, you know, some get to know me more tags, or there's some questions that are like good jumping off conversation things. And I've done them in the past when I had a diamond painting videos, and they are hilarious, some of them. So I think I'm going to do some of those. And yeah, or if there's, you know, like a topic that you guys want to hear about, or yeah, I got a lot of family funny stories and life stories, and like I said, there's also, you know, a life in depression, and moving here, and I mean, goodness sakes, there's a lot of funny stories along the way too. Not all serious, I guess. So all right, I hope you all enjoyed, had a little visit, and I will be back next week for my update video and what I worked on. And if you are interested in that last video, I have a couple of shares that of patterns that I finished or am not going to do, and so those are up for a couple of lucky viewers, because I have a couple that are up. And yeah, and then I also noticed, oh my goodness, you guys, I have hit the 2,000 subscriber mark, which again, so very grateful. Thank you. And so I need to put together a 2,000 subscriber giveaway at some point. So maybe I'll get that done for next video. If not, it'll be in March sometime probably. And yeah, so watch out for that. And as well as a kitted video. If you can see, I'm still sorting floss. I found more floss. Ugh, let's not talk about it. So I'm in the process of sorting that. And as you can see right there, this little cream cabinet right here, there, that comes from IKEA. That's I don't remember what it's called, but it's a IKEA file cabinet. That's where all of my DMC floss is stored, in baggies, and that's where these are eventually that way. That's really difficult to do. So yes, still sorting and kitting up a couple more projects that I would like to get done. So I hope you all had fun, a little chit chat, kind of relate to what I'm going through. I'm sure many of you can. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.